All right, my friends, we just pressed the Let's Go Live button, which means we got to wait for the tubes to connect themselves all across the fruited plain of the interwebs before we go ahead and get started. We got a lot to get to today, and we can't jump in until we are connected. Otherwise, we'll be rambling into oblivion. But it looks like it's working. That's tremendous news. And it worked pretty quickly today. That's awesome. Let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Cohen. I am a criminal defense attorney, and today we are talking about Michael Cohen lying again. That is not from some random person making that allegation that he's a perjurer, he committed perjury, he's lied a bunch of times, and he's very unreliable. It's also his former lawyer who was there in front of Congress today testifying, and it was a doozy. So we're going to unpack this. We've got a couple different ways we're going to break this down. We're going to listen to Costello first, and then we'll hear from James Trusty. Both of these gentlemen were in front of Congress today. It was a long ceremony, a lot of great clips. We're going to try to hit the highlights today. But remember during the testimony yesterday when Michael Cohen was on the stand, he was asked several questions about Robert Costello, this guy right here. And Robert Costello was a former attorney for Michael Cohen, not a former attorney for Trump, never was an attorney for Trump, only represented Cohen. And Cohen actually waived his attorney-client privilege with Costello. And we've talked about this before, it was months ago, but you remember this clip, we'll play it again. It was Robert Costello on with Tucker Carlson, and he said, yeah, Cohen literally waived attorney-client privilege, which is why I'm allowed to sit here and talk to you. And he held up the document on the screen saying, yeah, here it is. It's Michael Cohen's signature. He waived it. So now he's out saying, listen, I talked to him about all this stuff, about NDAs and Stormy Daniels. Like, I know everything. So let me tell you the truth about Michael Cohen. And this guy is an actual credentialed lawyer, respectable lawyer, who is now spilling the goods on everything. And so he was there in front of Congress. What I want to do today is recap some of the testimony. And so we'll jump over to Adam Klasfeld. Yesterday we were with Inner City Press, and I wanted to see what Klasfeld said about this exchange, because Cohen came up specifically when Costello came up to Cohen directly, and they were talking about emails and back and forth. And the theory was that Costello was a mechanism by which Cohen could get to the White House. He was kind of a go-between to dangle a pardon in front of him. And so Costello was a part of this grand conspiracy to get Trump elected and collude on this Stormy story. So we'll go into that. We got two clips, and man, he comes out, he's fired up. He says, Cohen lied on the stand yesterday. I read some of the testimony. I hear what he said. Not true. Cohen said that he handled Stormy alone. Trump had no involvement in it at all. And Costello was his lawyer helping him communicate about this process. So absolutely amazing. So we'll go through that and see what is inside. Of course, Cohen, Pinocchio the liar, is lying again on the stand in Costello's words, not even mine, although we could predict that. But we'll go through that. We've got several clips on that one. Then we're going to jump into some other clips. James Trusty, you remember him, and I like listening to his commentary. I think he's a pretty sharp dude, former prosecutor. We won't hold that against him, but we'll go through his bio. He was also testifying at the same hearing, and he opened this argument up. He opened opening statements about 10 minutes. We'll listen to the whole thing. It's excellent because he is obliterating Jack Smith, and he's chronicling all the things that he saw on the inside as the lawyer. He was a former prosecutor for decades and then went and worked for Trump for about a year. And when he was on the other side, he's saying, oh my gosh, what am I seeing over here from Jack Smith and these deranged thugs? Just as a reminder, this is who Tim Parlatore is. He comes up in James Trusty's testimony. And Tim Parlatore had a great interview with Sean Ryan, who's also on YouTube. They had a great interview, very eye-opening. So if you missed that, it was, I think, last year, December 23, something like that. Very good. And then we'll wrap up that segment with a clip from John Kennedy, the senator, slamming Michael Cohen, calling him a rat, and saying he's kind of a grifter type of person. Something like that is the Kennedy spiel. So we'll listen to him. We'll see what the background is on Jack Smith. And then to round it out on the day, we will wrap it up with this story about Stormy Daniels just freaking out, man. She's like, if Donald Trump gets acquitted, I'm leaving the country. And this was an interesting interview. So this is her husband / cameraman, you know, who holds the camera when she's doing her business or whatever. That's a husband, I guess. So he's out on this interview and he's like, listen, I'm not worried about Stormy Daniels because I'm used to her just getting pounded all over the place, you know, and he's talking about the criticisms on X, the platform. She's getting just, you know, railed in the comment section. And everybody's just making all these comments about her because she's Stormy Daniels. So he says, I'm used to that. Okay. We're used to her getting railed in the comments. Not a big deal and not a concern. So he says that, but if it is something where Trump is acquitted, then he's going to have to leave the country. They're just going to have to get the heck out of here because it's too dangerous for them. They'll be pounded out of America, I guess. So Stormy Daniels also had her attorney show up to play patty cake with the CNN crew. They're doing this weird half circle thing now on CNN where they get like 8 people together. And I think they're trying to do maybe it's kind of like a Fox the 5 thing. I don't really know what they're doing, but you know, they're like, well, if we have one moron here, if we have 2 morons, maybe that's better than 1 moron. And so they just keep adding morons. It's just whole smorgasbord, like a buffet of CNN idiots. So they brought on Clark Brewster, Stormy Daniels, attorney, and they asked him kind of softball questions about Stormy's daughter and about the necklace she was wearing and stuff. It's just wild. So we'll play some of that, see what's inside. Michael Avenatti was out posting about Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen. And he says Cohen's a liar, total fraud, total narcissist. And he brought this to our attention. I was not aware this existed, but apparently Michael Cohen, did you know this? All the ladies in the audience, in case you're interested in this, there's a Women-for-Cohen X account that you can follow if you want to support him. Women who love and support Michael Cohen. You can go support him right there on the X account. Strong, pit bull, sex symbol, no nonsense, business oriented and ready to make a difference. Women for Cohen. All right. Don't everybody go over there at once. Okay. All the ladies out there in the Watcher fam. All right. Slow down over there. Okay. You're going to give the guy a big head. He's got 197 followers. Now, what's so curious about this is apparently he posted like 700 posts. So who is that writing the posts for Michael Cohen? It's probably Michael Cohen. So the implication is that he created his own Women for Cohen account, and then he's writing his own tweets in support of Women for Cohen. All right, so we'll take a look at it, obviously. We have to read it and see what's on the X thread. Amazing. And all right, so then he's got that. I see a lot of vomits in the chat. I understand what you're feeling right now. I know, I understand it. And I apologize in advance. But we got White House admitting that they can't comment on the Trump trials because it's political. You know, it's not justice at all. It's in fact a political persecution being waged by them. And then we'll round out the end of the segment with Byron Donalds saying Trump is out there being attacked, an onslaught by the left and the Democrats. And so they are there protecting the Constitution. He was defending not only Donalds, but a bunch of other congresspeople showing up there to support Trump yesterday at the trial. And so we'll see if Stormy leaves, gets out of Dodge or not. But we got 3 good segments to get to today, my friends. I'm grateful that you are here and with us. Before we jump into everything, we know that there's this strange bird flu situation that is poking around, flying all over the place. You saw this story here from NPR. They just published this one today. It says a bird flu outbreak among dairy cows sparks new warnings about unpasteurized milk. So if you're one of those people who drinks unpasteurized milk, it's in there. They said an outbreak of the flu in dairy cow herds has resurfaced long simmering tensions between the feds and raw milk advocates who are downplaying the concerns. And I know there's a split on that, on whether that's good for you and not. And of course, this is outside the purview of this. But my point is, this stuff is floating around. And so we got to be prepared for this. One way we can do that is with our friends over at the Wellness Company. And we remember the last pandemic. We don't want to get caught again, not prepared. And so the Wellness Company is here and they've got a great solution for us. They have an offering where you can have life-saving medication right on hand. And it's a prescription contagion emergency kit. It's the only kit of its kind. It comes from the Wellness Company. They're going to give you a carefully selected assortment of very effective medications for all sorts of illnesses, respiratory illnesses, other things we've come across. Inside, you'll find ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, Z-Pax, Tamiflu, budesonide, nebulizers, the inhalers, all sorts of great stuff. Backed by Dr. Peter McCullough. You heard the name. He has been working on this stuff for years now and was on the right side of many issues. And so every American should have one of these kits, at least one in their house. You can go to twc.health/Robert, use code Robert. You can save some serious money off your order and get free shipping. So go check it out. Very simple and easy process. Save you some money. Go to twc.health/Robert. Get everything you need. Get prepared. These kits are only available in the USA. And thanks for supporting the Wellness Company and our sponsors here today. So twc.health/Robert, and we'll see you over there. Now, without any further ado, let's get into the program on the day because, it looks like we're having a Groundhog Day. Big surprise, Michael Cohen lied again. And this comes from Cohen's former attorney. His name is Robert Costello, this guy right here. His name came out in the testimony when the government was asking Michael Cohen, Pinocchio face here, about his story. And he said that Robert Costello was a liaison to Donald Trump and was dangling a pardon over his head, saying that if he stays quiet, if he helps Trump with this grand conspiracy to keep this Stormy Daniels story quiet, he'll get a pardon. Maybe he'll be the AG. Maybe they'll put him on the Supreme Court or whatever delusions he thought were realistic. And so Cohen testified, but Costello showed up in Congress today. We'll see if he shows up in the trial or not, if Donald Trump calls him as a witness. But at this point, he's just talking to Congress, and he's got a couple of clips saying Cohen literally lied. On the stand, during the trial, Cohen said Trump directed him to handle the Stormy thing. But Cohen told his lawyer, no, I handled the Stormy thing on my own. And you might be asking, how are we talking to Michael Cohen's lawyer? Isn't there something called attorney-client privilege? Why is this lawyer now able to talk about all the stuff that Cohen was telling him, basically spill the goods on this whole thing? Well, it's because Michael Cohen waived his attorney-client privilege. And you remember this video, taking a quick trip back down memory lane. This is Costello with our friend Tucker Carlson. Throwback to the era when he was on the mainstream media. Now he's doing much better free. So he is having Robert Costello on saying Cohen is literally lying.
Well, let me just ask you one final question, if it's okay, Mr. Costello.
Sure.
If you were the DA, if you were a prosecutor and you were trying to be fair and honest and serve the law rather than a political agenda, you'd want to know that, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. And I told them and told the grand jury today, I was deputy chief of the criminal division of the U.S. attorneys for the Southern District. I said I wouldn't touch a witness like Michael Cohen for any amount of money. You simply cannot rely upon this guy. And tonight, he was on another station denying that he waived the attorney-client privilege. Here it is, in writing, and that's his signature on the second page. So
that's unbelievable.
I guess he didn't know that, and the district attorney didn't know that. And I told them, Michael Cohen has been in your office 20 times and twice in the grand jury, and he forgot to tell you that he waived the attorney-client privilege 22 times? I mean, really, is this the kind of witness you want to ride to the finish line?
Yeah, they did. They're riding him right now. They're still riding him. This is the only thing that they have left because their case is so terrible because Trump didn't commit a crime. So he has waiver, and we're going to get to his testimony from Congress. But remember what happened yesterday during the testimony. So Michael Cohen's back on the stand. We read through all of this courtesy of Inner City Press to get a little different flavor today. We'll go see what Adam Klasfeld has to say about the testimony. Remember, they came back from a break. The prosecutor said to Mr. Cohen on the stand, they say, hey, Mr. Cohen, are you familiar with an attorney named Robert Costello, that guy? He says, yeah, I am. And this came from the Mueller report. They said in an email to Cohen, Costello wrote, he sent an email to Cohen that he had spoken with Giuliani. Robert Mueller wrote this in his report that basically said Trump did nothing wrong. Costello told Cohen the conversation was, quote, very, very positive. Says Cohen, you are loved. They are in our corner. Sleep well tonight. You have friends in high places. This is a lawyer sending his client a nice email. Hey, I'm working hard for you, man. We got good stuff coming, okay? Relax. I know the government raided you. Just take it easy. We're going to help, through all this stuff. I'm your lawyer, whatever he was representing him on. Cohen said that following these messages, he believed, courtesy of those messages, says nothing about a pardon, just says, hey, you're good. You got friends in high places. I'm working on it. A lot of people looking out for you. A lot of people coming after you, but other people looking out. Relax. Cohen said the message believed, he read into that he had the support of the White House if he continued to toe the party line. And he determined to stay on message and be a part of the team. And then at the time, Cohen understood that his legal fees were still being paid by Trump, which he said was important to him. Cohen believed he needed the power of the president to take care of him, so he needed to defend the president on all the messages, staying on message. So that's why Cohen flipped. So now they're trying to justify why Cohen flipped. We know why Cohen flipped. It's because they raided his entire life. And dude is a criminal. So he had his P.O. box raided. He had everything raided. And they said, you better flip or else. And he admitted that during his testimony in court. He said that they were going to raid his wife and indict his wife the next day unless. He's like, oh, crap. Okay. Hard to blame the dude. You got the DOJ saying we're going to go, wipe out your family. You're like, okay, whatever. So you got, he buckled as we expect. And now everything changes. So now what Mueller has to do in this passage is then come back and paper back over this thing. No. He was lying at the outset. He was lying about what he was defending Trump over, and he didn't actually flip. He's just reverting to the truth. Okay, so this is the context. Now, during the testimony, Michael Cohen's on the stand. He says that he was distraught from the FBI search when he met with Costello at the Regency Hotel. FBI raided him. He freaked out. Costello made clear. He says, relax, okay, relax. Cohen says that they told me this would be a great way to have a back channel to the president and make sure that you're still good and that you're secure. Like Trump's going to come in and wave a magic wand. This was the testimony we read yesterday. They have another exhibit, another email from Costello to Cohen. Again, his lawyer sending an email to him. Dated April 19, 2018. The emails validated Costello's relationship to Giuliani. Okay, so he knows Giuliani and the concept of the back channel, says Cohen. So that's what that email is explaining. Now, here's another email. It says, he asked me to tell you, Cohen says, this is what's going on, that Rudy is now communicating to Cohen. He asked me to tell you that he knows how tough this is on you and your family and that he'll make sure to tell the president. He said, thank you for opening this back channel of communications and asked me to keep in touch. And I don't know if that's verbatim that he's reading or if that's verbatim from Cohen. So that comes out, whether that's in the email or whether that's from Cohen's mouth. We don't know. On June 13th, Costello told Cohen that my friend has communicated to me that he is meeting with his client this evening and added that if there was anything you wanted to convey, you should tell me and my friend will bring it up for discussion this evening. Sort of mysterious, my friend, and they're speaking in generalities. Cohen, he testifies, that he understood that Costello's friend was Rudy Giuliani. So it's in the abstract, but who's he talking about? Who's this friend? Oh, that's Rudy. And who was the client? Oh, that was Trump. And for Cohen, this covert mode of communication had a little I Spy-ish feel, he says. There's another email from Costello. Now, this is apparently he's frustrated with Cohen for not retaining him. So Cohen then gets a different lawyer. And now my screen all just shifted pretty dramatically. So here from Costello to Cohen. So the email from Costello says, when I suggested that we meet and discuss a strategy following this news, you suddenly took a new approach and you said, that's not going to happen. So stunned by this remark, I was asking you for a clarification on our legal relationship. So am I still your lawyer? Are you firing me or what's the deal? Costello says, it seems clear to me that you are under the impression that Trump and Giuliani are trying to discredit you and throw you under the bus, to use your phrase. So Costello's telling Cohen, sounds like you're losing it, dude. I think you are wrong because you are believing the narrative promoted by the left-wing media. So he starts to flip. Says, hey, you're making a very big mistake, Michael. If you believe the stories these journalists are writing about you, they want you to cave. They want you to fail. They do not want you to persevere and succeed. This is part of a pressure campaign, he says. Continuing saying, Cohen says, well, I never told Robert Costello the truth about Trump's involvement. Did you tell him, your lawyer, about what happened here? He says, no, I didn't. Why didn't you tell him, Michael? Because I didn't, quote, trust him, because my own lawyer was loyal to Trump at the time. So his own lawyer can't properly advise this guy because he doesn't know anything about what happened here. So Cohen says, well, I talked to my family after the FBI search and they were threatening my family at that moment. So then Cohen says, obviously he would flip. At the time, Cohen says he did not know what the Southern District of New York was even looking at. He was in some unique situation. Cohen delivers this line straight to the jury. He says, I made a decision again based on a conversation with my family. I would not lie for President Trump any longer. He's like, hey, listen, kids, I've been lying my whole life, but not anymore because I love you. And they're like, wow, Dad. It's like out of a Disney movie. After two leading versions of the question prompts objections, the prosecutor asks, why, in fact, did you pay that money to Stormy Daniels? And here it is. Here's the big Stormy money shot. To ensure that the story would not come out, says Cohen, and would not affect Mr. Trump's chances of becoming president of the United States. Election interference. Courtroom gasps. Okay. Cohen said the guilty plea was the worst day of his life. Of course, he lied off about that. And that's the testimony. So they move on to another topic, but that was Robert Costello and how he came into play. Now he shows up the day after testimony. He's like, that dude's a liar. And let me tell you why. And here is Mr. Costello.
My name is Bob Costello. I've been an attorney for 51 years, and I'm the former assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York, where I was deputy chief of the criminal division. I am not now, nor have I ever been, an attorney for Donald Trump, any of his family members, or any of his businesses. I've represented quite a number of high-profile individuals, but never Donald Trump. During the period April 2018 to July 2018, I represented Michael Cohen. Today, I can talk to you about what Michael Cohen told my law partner and me, because Michael Cohen waived the attorney-client privilege at the request of the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. The reason was Michael Cohen had pled guilty to 8 felony counts in the Southern District and was seeking to lessen his sentence. And he thought he could be clever by going into the U.S. Attorney's Office and lying about cooperation. Michael Cohen went to the U.S. Attorney's Office and accused Rudy Giuliani and myself of conspiring to obstruct justice by tampering with a witness, namely Michael Cohen. The story, which they were floating at the time and his lawyers put out in the various newspapers, was that we had dangled a pardon under Michael Cohen's nose in order to keep him quiet so that he wouldn't testify against Donald Trump. When I received the call from the U.S. Attorney's Office saying, Bob, we'd like to talk to you about your representation of Michael Cohen, I said to them, can I presume that you guys are sitting there with a copy of the waiver of the attorney-client privilege? And they said, you presume correctly.
Wow.
I told them to scan it over to me, and once I received it, I'd be delighted to talk to them. And I did. I went down to 1 St. Andrews Plaza with...
So just to recap, so Cohen is saying, listen, the government is indicting me. I've got these plea deals that I'm taking. I'm pleading guilty to 8 crimes, and I'm about to be a convicted felon. If I cooperate with the government, they'll give me a better deal. He says, how can I cooperate? What type of leverage do I have? Because he does not want to go to prison. Remember, he has told us I'm not spending 1 day in prison, not one, as we'll hear about. But Cohen then has nothing. He has no leverage. So how can I create and concoct something? He says, aha, I know. I'll just go and blame my lawyers. They're Trump lawyers. So I'll say they were trying to pressure me, and I'll get them, I'll give up their lawyers, and then they can connect the lawyers to Trump, and it's all orchestrated to Trump. So that's going to be his get out of jail free card. He's going to take basically breach his own protection in order to use what's inside as leverage. Now, the lawyer, this guy, who's actually a good lawyer, is like, yeah, sure, happy to talk to you. This guy's whacked. Here. And he shows up, picking it up from there.
A lawyer who had been the chief of the criminal division when I was deputy chief, Tom Fitzpatrick. And on the way into the office, he said to me, Bob, aren't you nervous? I said, what for? I'm going to tell the truth, and I have documentary evidence that corroborates me 6 ways from Sunday. I said, there's nothing to be nervous about. And in fact, I said, I'll bet you $10 I'll have these people laughing within 15 minutes. I won the bet. I went up and I sat with 2 assistant U.S. attorneys, Tom McKay and Nick Rose, as well as 2 FBI agents whose names, unfortunately, I don't remember. We had a grand old time. I explained our entire history with Michael Cohen through emails and text messages. I explained the many, many lies that Michael Cohen told us. Most especially, I told them that when we first met Michael Cohen in April of 2018, keeping in mind now that I read Michael Cohen's testimony from yesterday's trial in New York on the way down on the train, and virtually every statement he made about me was another lie.
Whoa!
A lie that can be proven not just by me denying it, but by myself, Jeff Citron, or Rudy Giuliani, or emails or text messages.
Wow.
Virtually every statement that he made.
Wow. So lie after lie after lie. So Michael Cohen has already been accused of lying by a federal judge. He either lied when he took his plea deal, and he had actually admitted yesterday in his testimony that he did lie to a federal court when he took his plea deal. So we'll see what that looks like when the federal judge learns about that and whether he tries to remedy that. But this is Cohen lying again, and they've got evidence to rebut that. So is Mr. Costello going to come in to testify? Now, let's not also forget that Costello already was brought in to the grand jury. He's telling us that he already met with the prosecutors. So they already know this. The government knows this. The prosecutors know this. They brought the case anyways because they don't care.
What he tries to do is he picks out, cherry picks, certain emails or text messages and tries to make them look like something else. The story he told yesterday was that Rudy Giuliani and I were somehow conspiring to try and keep him quiet, to try and keep him from flipping. That's the term we use in the trade for cooperating. That's ridiculous. The first day that we met with Michael Cohen at the Regency Hotel, at his request, and there's email correspondence that show this, we went up there. I had never met Michael Cohen before. I didn't have any idea who he was or what sort of problem he was in. I saw this guy in a conference room at the Regency Hotel marching back and forth like a tiger in a cage. He was absolutely manic. He looked like he hadn't slept in 4 or 5 days. And he kept on, he knew my partner, Jeff Citron, for 10 years. I didn't know the guy. He kept on pounding on the table throughout his speeches that day. Guys, I want you to know, I will do whatever the F I have to do. I will never spend 1 day in jail. He had to say that at least 10 times, maybe 20. It was his constant litany as he walked back and forth.
Yeah, and he's got his he's got his get out of jail free card now. He's going to turn them in and blame Trump because he knows the prosecutors just want Trump. That's all they're after. Michael Cohen is just a stepping stone into the much bigger fish, which is Donald Trump. So he says, perfect. How about I just use you guys?
I said, Michael, sit down. We need to discuss what's going on here. He told us about the raid, that his offices had been raided, his home had been raided. And he said, I didn't do anything wrong, guys. I don't know what they're looking for. And I said, Michael, the people in the Southern District of New York are very smart people. They got a search warrant for a lawyer's office. You can't do that just by going to the U.S. attorney. You need to go to Maine Justice and get approval from Maine Justice. You need to show them that you have proof that a crime has been committed and that the evidence of that crime is going to exist at the site to be examined. I said, so Michael, these people think that you did something wrong. What is it? I said, this is protected by attorney-client privilege, and it was until he waived the attorney-client privilege. I swear to God, Bob, I didn't do anything wrong. In fact, I'm cooperating with the special counsel. I'm cooperating with Congress. Of course, he forgot to tell us that he lied to Congress, but that was part and parcel of the way Michael Cohen is. So I sat him down and I said, look, Michael, clearly here, you're not the target. Nobody's ever heard of Michael Cohen.
Right, it's Trump.
But you are the lawyer for President Trump, and clearly that's their target. And let me explain to you how things work. When they get a search warrant, they're looking to gather evidence. They already have evidence against you for something, but you haven't told us what it is. And they are going to roll over you. You're just a bump in the road. Their target is Donald Trump. So I want you to think carefully now. And by the way, up to this point, he had told us when he introduced himself to us that 2 nights before, he was on the roof of the hotel, of the Regency Hotel, seriously considering jumping off, committing suicide, because he couldn't handle the pressure of the legal problems that he saw coming his way. And what he wanted to find out from us that day was his escape route. That's what he called it. guys, you have to tell me what my escape route is. What can I do to get out of this? And I did. My obligation as a lawyer at that point in time was to explain to him what his options were. Clearly, one of his options was to cooperate. And I said to him, I said, Michael, the way this works is if you have truthful information about Donald Trump, that's clearly what they're looking for, I can have all your legal problems solved by the end of the week. His response, I swear to God, Bob, I don't have anything on Donald Trump.
Wow.
I said, Michael, I want you to think carefully about this. I probably came back to this subject 10 or 20 times during the 2-hour period. Every time I brought it up, every time he answered, I swear to God, Bob, I don't have anything on Donald Trump. I said,
this happens all the time. You'll hear this in drug cases, co-defendant cases. You see this in the Hollywood movies all the time. Give me something and you go free. In fact, there was a phrase that we used to talk a lot about here that people or investigators in Arizona wanted 3 people. We called it give me 3 and they go free, right? Give 3 and go free. Kind of a little, rhyme there. It's like they were trying to bust everybody and investigate who these sources were. So if you gave somebody up, then you could go free. So this is just regular criminal defense attorney stuff. This guy's got no loyalty to Trump. This guy's got, he's actually explaining that he might be helping implicate Trump. His obligation is not to Trump. A lawyer's obligation and duty is to the client. So he says, Michael Cohen, I can help you out, man. You just got to flip on Trump. No big deal. I don't care. I'm not Trump's lawyer. Trump will get his own lawyers. Do you have anything? I have nothing. And this is after he's having a mental breakdown. He's almost suicidal, about to jump off a building. He's pacing around like a tiger, melting down. And I'm not going to jail. I'm not effing going to jail ever. Do you have anything on Trump? I can make that happen. I can get you free. What do you got? I have nothing.
Said, Michael, whatever you have has to be truthful. If you think you can go in there and tell these people lies, you're crazy. It's going to backfire on you. You can't do that. So do you have anything on Donald Trump? Probably the 5th or the 6th time I got around to doing that, he said, well, I know that money is missing from the Trump inaugural ball. I said, is Donald Trump involved in that? No. Okay. Does Donald Trump know anything about that? No. I said, Michael, that's useless. You're not going anywhere with that. You asked me for your escape route. I'm telling you your escape route. All you have to do is be truthful if you have some real evidence on Donald Trump. His litany was the same all the time. I don't have anything on Donald Trump. This is exactly the opposite to what I saw him say on TV. He was telling the grand jury in Manhattan and the district attorney's office. He said, I went in there, I believe, if my memory is correct, 20 times, including 2 appearances in the grand jury, 18 times preparation sessions with the DA's office. I was sitting at home listening to this, and I said, that's nonsense. That's not what he told Jeff Citron and myself. And I decided at that point in time, I've got to make it known to both the defense and the prosecution what the real story is, who this guy really is. So I provided all this material to Donald Trump's lawyers, and I provided it to the Manhattan DA's office. And I asked for a meeting with District Attorney Bragg, because I wanted to go in there, let him look me in the eye, and let me explain all of the stuff that we had on Michael Cohen that showed that he's an inveterate liar. The guy can't be trusted. Bragg turned me down.
Yep.
But what he did say was, I'll let you have a meeting with the assistant district attorneys. Now, when the Trump people,
we need you just to
I'm sorry, when the Trump people
finish up quickly.
Heard about all of this, they insisted, as was their right under the law, that the DA put me before the grand jury.
Right.
So that I was scheduled for a Monday. On the Friday before, I gave the DA's office the courtesy of a Zoom conference for about an hour and a half. 8 assistant district attorneys and me on the other end. I explained. They didn't really ask me any questions. They just said, what do you want to say? Nice warm greeting for somebody who's trying to show them the right path quietly and privately so that they could correct their error before they made it.
Absolutely incredible testimony. And he comes off as credible as anybody. And in fact, he's got a corroborating witness to all this stuff. He's got his law partner, Citron, who was there, who can confirm Michael Cohen pacing around like a tiger and borderline suicidal, hasn't slept. And this matches the thesis that he was in some serious problems and serious trouble. And his only escape hatch was to find something he could use to go give to the SDNY, and he did. So that was just outstanding. And of course, there was more questions once Congress got into the questioning. And so here is the other clip I wanted to share with you, where he is explaining the following, that Michael Cohen didn't actually believe the Stormy Daniels allegation, didn't think they did anything. Cohen paid Stormy Daniels all on his own, in opposite to what Michael Cohen testified to yesterday. And Trump had nothing to do with it at all. It's incredible. Here it is.
Through further cross-examination, Cohen told me that he knew there was money missing from the Trump inauguration.
I see where you are now. Thank you.
Okay, and then on the next page, into that first paragraph, Cohen decided that while he didn't believe the allegation of the Stormy Daniels story, that he thought the story would be embarrassing for Trump and especially for Melania, so he decided he would take care of it himself.
Absolutely, and that is contrary to what this guy testified to in court in New York yesterday.
Well, and what's not being talked about is your next paragraph, like the reason and his motivation for that. So if you could just kind of walk through that for the committee.
Yeah, obviously, when we started to talk about the NDAs, and this is the very first meeting at the Regency Hotel, when, by the way, Rudy Giuliani was not involved in representing Donald Trump at that time. Cohen testified that it was a conspiracy between Giuliani and Costello as of this date. Totally false. In any event,
wow.
You also said that he didn't discuss the Stormy Daniels matter with us, and he certainly did. I specifically asked him because he kept on going back saying, I can't believe they're trying to put me in jail for these NDAs. So I said, Michael, tell me about the NDA. Tell me about Stormy Daniels. What did you do? He said, I got a call from a lawyer representing Stormy Daniels who represented that she was going to testify that Donald Trump had sex with Stormy Daniels. Michael Cohen said, I didn't believe the allegation, but I knew that such an allegation would be terribly embarrassing. He said it would be embarrassing. He focused on Melania Trump.
Wow.
He said, I didn't want to embarrass Melania Trump. He said, that's why I decided to take care of this on my own. Right. I went back to that several times. You did this on your own? On my own. Did Donald Trump have anything to do with it? No. Did you get the money from Donald Trump? No. From any of his organizations? No. From anybody connected to Donald Trump? No. Where did you get the money? I took out a HELOC loan against my property. I said, why would you do that? He said, I didn't want anybody to know where I got this money. I didn't want Melania to know. I didn't want my own wife to know because she's in charge, he said, of the Cohen family finances. He said, if she saw money coming out of my account, she'd ask me 100 questions, and I didn't want to answer any of them. It was clear after talking to him for several days after that, whenever we talked on the phone or in my office, that he kept on bringing up the subject that he felt he was betrayed by not being brought down to Washington, D.C. This guy thought, he said to me, that he should have been Attorney General of the United States, or at least the Chief Assistant to the President. Ludicrous. Yeah. That's what he thought. And he was very angry about that. He wanted to do something to put himself back into the inner circle of Donald Trump. That's why he took care of this on his own. There had to be a motivation. Michael Cohen is always working for things that benefit himself. And that's what he was doing here. That's completely different to what he said that he told the grand jury. That's completely different to what he's testifying to in New York. Nobody has heard this side of the equation.
Right.
Just amazing, outstanding testimony from Costello. And I don't know if he is on the witness list or if he is going to be somebody who Trump's team might be able to bring in. But there are multiple layers to this. So obviously, he has direct hand knowledge about what Michael Cohen said because he was his lawyer. And my understanding is, sounds like he's got a bunch of records to corroborate and to confirm a lot of this, like a good lawyer does. They log things, they write notes, they keep tabs on what they do in case there's a problem like there is right now. They can say, here's what I've got. And I show up and here's what I did. I stand by my work. Not like Nathan Wade, who just keeps all the stuff in his head, or like Michael Cohen, who just creates problems and then tries to solve them. So multiple layers. Not only is he a tremendous witness who's got a firsthand account of all the knowledge, but he's already shared this with the government. He's already shared it at the grand jury, already had meetings with Bragg's DAs, and they just ignore it. they're not listening to it at all. He wrecks their case. They need Michael Cohen to lie. They brought him in to do exactly that. And Costello confirms lie after lie after lie. Cohen perjures himself again, according to his own former lawyer, a very credible person who I think would make a great witness. And so we'll see if he shows up in trial as our coverage here continues. And so, my friends, thank you for joining us as we continue to unpack what's happening here. We'd love it if you subscribe to our channel, wherever it is you're watching this. We'd really love it if you invited a friend or family member to come on over and join us as we continue our coverage here. We've got a great members-only community on Locals and on YouTube. We do members-only streams in the morning. We'd love to have you come join us. So check out the links in the description below, my friends. No matter where we join you or where we see you, we'll look forward to seeing you back here on the next one. But we're not done yet, so don't go anywhere. We're just changing gears and talking about another lawyer, another former prosecutor, who's explaining a different part of this Trump lawfare, and Jack Smith. And this one is also just amazing. Today's testimony in Congress was wild. Jack Smith extorted the defense team in the classified documents case. We know that the deranged thugs there have done much more than that. And now James Trusty, an ex-prosecutor and a former Trump attorney who is on the other side of the equation, who is receiving this abuse, this misconduct, and this assault on American justice, is now testifying in Congress. And we're going to go through and see what he said. He is going to explain the multiple problems with Jack Smith's assault. And if you forgot who he is, let's take a look at his bio. He, of course, very experienced individual, been around for 27 years as a prosecutor. He has done tons of cases, RICO, computer fraud, and says he can help you with your problems. Lots of credentials here. And we've heard him. He was also on the Trump team for a while before leaving. And you can see this beautiful attorney photo. Welcome to our law firm. We're going to solve your problems for you. How big are they? This big? We can handle it. It's great, action shot. Love it for attorneys. A lot of attorneys do that. I might have some myself. Who knows? But he was in Congress today, and he was testifying. Remember, this is another attorney who also represented Trump on the classified documents case, Tim Parlatore. And his name comes out in this. But let's jump right into James Trusty testifying in front of Congress today. And his opening statement chronicles all of the abuse. Let's listen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Jim Trusty. I've been an attorney for 35 years. I spent my first 20 as a local and federal prosecutor in Maryland. And in both roles, I was fortunate enough to be involved in some fairly complex or weighty prosecutions. It starts with the usual of misdemeanors and routine felonies, but I was able to do a no-body child murder case, as well as numerous RICO cases against MS-13, and I personally led 3 different death penalty prosecutions as a federal prosecutor. In 2011, I moved over to D.C., against my better judgment maybe, but I came over to the department to work at Main Justice with some other folks that I knew from Maryland, and became the chief of the organized crime and gang section, which was a fascinating job that I enjoyed for about 6.5 years. I was able to manage a group of prosecutors that handled international, national, and regional organized crime cases against everything from MS-13 to Barrio Azteca, the mafia, and international white-collar conspiracies. And I was also, during this time, a senior member of the Attorney General's Death Penalty Review Committee, helping the Attorney General decide whether to pursue the death penalty against folks like the Boston Marathon bomber and the Charleston church shooter, among other numerous lower-profile cases. If my memory serves, I served under 7 different attorney generals. And in 2017, I left for IFRA Law, a boutique litigation shop, where I've represented everything from international gaming institutions to white-collar executives to human trafficking victims. And in 2022, for about a 1-year period, President Donald J. Trump.
Yep, 1 year
On
for
August
Trump.
8th of 2022, I became deeply involved in the Mar-a-Lago case involving President Trump, and I've given significant detail in the written statement, which I can't even begin to fully broach in a summary, but I'll try to hit some highlights. I wrote that statement. I took the time to write that statement because I think it's important for you and for the American people to have specific evidence, to have details to support the conclusion that the Department of Justice is acting in a weaponized fashion when it comes to a candidate for the presidency of the United States, that this is, in fact, lawfare in its rawest form.
Yep.
The Mar-a-Lago case is plagued with singular moments where prosecutors took incredibly aggressive and I would say prejudicial steps, the likes of which I had never seen in 35 years of practice on both sides of the aisle. The politicization actually began with the National Archives and Records Administration, whose director ended up making a historic and first-time criminal referral based on his stated concern, his overstated concern, that he had received documents from President Trump that were in fact marked classified within 15 boxes given to him in January of 2022. The reality is every modern day president has also turned over boxes or groups of materials that included documents marked classified. But in this case, NARA acted alarmed, and recent litigation in the Southern District of Florida has suggested that in fact the White House helped spur this referral on to the Department of Justice. Once in the hands of the Department of Justice, the lead prosecutor reportedly, according to the Washington Post, fought with the FBI to immediately jump to the perch of doing a criminal search warrant at Mar-a-Lago. He was talked out of that apparently in a heated conversation and still relied on a criminal enforcement tool, which was a grand jury subpoena, to begin this process of gathering documents by force and by use of criminal sanction. For brevity's sake, I'm just going to highlight 3 examples of what I think are singular treatment of President Trump that I document in my written submission.
Let's go, Jim. Let's go.
Is the abusive process in grand jury. And again, grand jury is usually fairly opaque to the defense side. We don't see everything that happens there, but we had some glimpses of the behavior, of the threats, of the conduct of prosecutors. And the one I would highlight today was the presentation of Tim Parlatore, a former Trump lawyer as well, a friend of mine, who went into grand jury and was asked by the Department of Justice attorney, I think 48 times, I might be off by 2 or 3, but 48 times he was asked questions that clearly led to an invocation of attorney-client privilege. Those questions are unethical on their face. A prosecutor should not be in front of a grand jury purposefully eliciting a known privilege, but they were comfortable with this in this setting in Washington, D.C. that we were in.
And the court just let it go 48 times. No ramifications, no ethical complaints. Those prosecutors are not going to get sanctioned by the state bar. It's total madness, total lawlessness, and they can just get away with it. And it's during a grand jury, and those proceedings are locked down. They're secretive. They're highly protected. You don't get to be a part of them unless you... States are different on how it works, but it's a complex process, and it's meant to establish cause to lead to an indictment. So they brought in Tim Parlatore, and he is a lawyer. So he was able to sit there and hear these questions and say, this is ridiculous. How are you dare asking me this 48 times? And it's not just the fact that they asked the questions, but listen.
After 48 times, including Mr. Parlatore telling the prosecutor at times, what you're doing is unethical, you need to stop. She said, well, if your client is so cooperative, why won't he just waive his privilege?
Insane.
Now, that's kind of a nice political point or a layman's point, but for lawyers and for people that worked in the Department of Justice, they know that is flat out unethical.
Yeah, it's basically the same thing as if you're innocent, why don't you just testify? It's the same thing. Oh, you invoked your right to remain silent? Well, how come if you're so innocent, just talk? Right, that's sanctionable conduct for a prosecutor. This is a close cousin to that. Well, why doesn't your client just come in, or why don't you just waive it? Why doesn't he waive it? Why doesn't he testify? It is total corruption from prosecutors who know better, and they're still cheating. I mean, they're cheaters and they're bullies. That's their entire existence. That's why they look the way they do. But it is reprehensible for them to do it, and they did it to another lawyer, which shows the bravado they've got.
That the idea that you would try to draw a negative inference from a legitimate invocation of counsel is an outrageous moment, and that's just one that we had
48 times
visibility into. Secondly, I would point to Jack Smith's near obsession with having a, quote, speedy trial in the January 6th case.
Even though he waited years.
The speedy trial right is derived historically from a defendant who is incarcerated, who has the Pyrrhic victory of going to trial a year or two later and being acquitted. And the question, of course, becomes, well, what do I do with that free time I just served for a year or two? That's why we have a constitutional and a statutory speedy trial right. And it is invoked by defendants or waived by defendants every day in federal court. What you don't see every day in federal court is a federal prosecutor for a non-incarcerated defendant insisting on having a speedy trial, when the Department of Justice, in fact, has its own guidelines to avoid charging decisions and trials on the eve of elections. Instead,
not for Trump, though.
We had Jack Smith pushing with all his might, pushing the Supreme Court to expedite a hearing that was still in front of the D.C. Court of Appeals, and only angrily losing that battle, apparently, when the Supreme Court took up the question of immunity.
Yeah, and that was Jack Smith. Remember, he tried to leapfrog the Trump appeal. So Trump was appealing it to the Court of Appeals there in D.C., and Jack Smith went up to the Supreme Court and said, please accept it. Please accept our case. And then the Court of Appeals ruled in favor of Jack Smith. So then he said, well, now you don't need to actually hear it, Court of Appeals. So now don't take it. So he's having it both ways, and he's scrambling in a mad panic to try to get this thing done before the election. And there's tens of millions of pages of documents, I think 13 million pages of materials. They waited years to bring the original indictment, and now they're scrambling, and it's Trump's fault. He has no ability to review the evidence. He loses his right to due process under the law. It's insane.
The third thing that I would point out from my summary is something that came from a respected lawyer in Washington who represented Walt Nauta, which is viewed as kind of the keys to the kingdom in their investigation into President Trump, a person that they were intent on flipping at all costs and eventually charged. And
briefly, Walt Nauta, of course, was Trump's kind of assistant, bagman, handling a bunch of stuff with him at Mar-a-Lago, traveling around with him. And so if they could flip him, they go after people close to Trump, which is why they went after Michael Cohen, Trump's lawyer. They go after Walt Nauta, Trump's assistant. If they can flip them, they'll get access to everything, and they think that they can take him down.
This lawyer was the subject of an extortionate ploy. I have no other way to phrase it than that. He was brought in very early into his representation to the Department of Justice, where he met with Jay Bratt and about 5 or 6 other prosecutors in the room. Mr. Bratt had a folder open that appeared to be information not about Mr. Nauta, but about Mr. Woodward, the lawyer. And he looked at this, according to Mr. Woodward, and said, I see that you have a pending application for judgeship with President Biden. I don't take you to be a Trump lawyer. I would hate to see you blow it. You need to flip Walt Nauta against President Trump. That sequence of events, which has not been fully investigated to my knowledge or fully litigated, but has been presented and has been publicized, is a devastating indictment of the willingness of a Department of Justice attorney with others around him to engage in essentially extortion or bribery or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and it's no different than what they're doing in the grand jury proceedings. It's flagrantly unethical misconduct, and they don't care. They know there's no repercussions. The judges in the courtroom don't care. Their colleagues don't care. They're on a singular mission to take out their opponents. And then they're going to come around and lecture us about justice. And Joe Biden's going to mock this process, mock Trump, saying, we'll see you on Wednesday for the debate, whatever, knowing that when he's free from this political onslaught.
Or obstruction. The enforcers of obstruction, in fact, were willing to obstruct justice because of an ends justify the means mentality. So that brings me to just talk for a couple of minutes about what I think the cost of lawfare is and really why I'm here, which is not for any sort of personal gain or political moment for me. Lawfare, and in its form with the Department of Justice in criminal cases, is an effort to manipulate law as a way of targeting an individual who's despised by the user. Justice and the concept of rule of law rely on honest cops and principled prosecutors to follow evidence and to make impartial determinations as to accountability. It is evidence-driven, not animus-driven, and that's why I'm here.
Right on, Mr. Trusty. And we're grateful for the good prosecutors out there. I know I give prosecutors a hard time here, and they deserve it, okay? But there are some good prosecutors out there, and ones who look at cases and say, there's not cause here, and I have to dismiss this even though I don't want to. So James Trusty lays it all out, 3 different problems with Jack Smith, and they are all big, calls it actually extortion, and he's a prosecutor. So he knows some about that criminal statute because he's charged people under it. So now let's wrap this segment up with Senator Kennedy. slamming Michael Cohen and this entire saga, calling Cohen a rat in another case, of course, in New York. Here's
right now,
Kennedy.
Senate Judiciary Committee member and former attorney himself, Senator John Kennedy. Senator, good morning to you. What do you make of what they're doing on some of the other channels where they recreate what was going on inside the courtroom?
Yeah.
Well, first, where's Kilmeade today?
He's in Washington. You guys have switched places.
Well, Lawrence and I were speculating that he's really out getting hair plugs. But I don't want to start a rumor.
Joe Biden is the only person that I know actually had hair plugs.
Let me answer your question. Here's my impression. I don't know Mr. Cohen.
Yep.
I've followed him. I suspect he doesn't get invited to too many parties.
No.
He reminds me a lot of Michael Avenatti, sort of a grifter type. I'm not saying Mr. Cohen has never done the right thing, but if he did, it was because he was probably constantly supervised and cornered like a rat.
Okay, so there's Kennedy. So talking about all these people and how corrupt they are, going after the president. Good testimony in both houses. We've got the Senate with Kennedy having some comments on this, and then, of course, Congress hearing from James Trusty. So will Congress do anything about this? Are they going to defund Jack Smith? Are they going to send another nasty letter? We will continue to cover it, my friends. So thank you for joining and subscribing to our channel as we do. Wherever it is you're watching this, we'd love to have you back here. So thanks for hitting that subscribe button, liking this video wherever you're watching this, inviting a friend or family member to come over and join us. We'll see you back here on the next one. But we're not done here yet. We got one more segment to attend to. And this one is about Stormy. She's not happy about where this trial's going. Stormy Daniels freaked out if Donald Trump is acquitted in New York. Her husband/cameraman say that they've got a contingency plan. Apparently, they're going to be fleeing the country soon if Trump is acquitted. We'll see if that happens or not. But we've got some roundup updates on this woman and the saga. Not only was her husband/cameraman, who looks like that, out talking about how he's used to Stormy getting just absolutely ravaged in the comment section, getting pounded in the comments, getting railed in the comments, and doesn't really care all about it. But if Trump is acquitted, then maybe they'll have to leave the country. Now, her attorney was out saying that she's paralyzed with fear, and they talked about her necklace that came from her daughter. It's wild. Michael Cohen, apparently, according to Michael Avenatti, created his own WomenForCohen account and may have posted 700 tweets faking like he's a woman for Cohen. So that's interesting. Karine is out here admitting that she can't comment on these trials because they're political in nature. And Congressman Byron Donald says that they were there supporting Trump because the Constitution requires no political prosecution. So let's hear from this guy first. Stormy Daniels' husband / cameraman or whatever their relationship is, they brought him on to have an interview. And here is what he said when asked about the aftermath of Stormy's testimony. Of course, she was in court for 2 days, had a lot to say, and now there's the fallout. What does the husband say? What does the lawyer say? Here is their escape plan should Trump escape.
Testified. Have you discussed what happens when you talk about her trying to get on with her life if Trump is found not guilty?
If Trump is found not guilty, I think there's I mean, either way, I don't think it gets better for her. You know, I think if it's not guilty, we got to decide what to do. Good chance we'll probably vacate this country.
Bye.
If he is found guilty, that she's still gonna have to deal with all the hate that feel like she's the reason that he's guilty from all of his followers. So I don't see it as a win situation either way. You know, I know that we would like to get on with our lives. I know that she wants to move past this. We just want to do what I guess you would say normal people get to do in some aspects.
Like what? What do you guys do that's normal?
But I don't know if that
STD
ever
tests?
will be, you know. And it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart, some of the things that she has to go through that people don't realize. You know, I guess, for example, you know, everybody has their agenda for her at this point, and I don't see people fighting back for her. For instance, E. Jean Carroll, although we're super happy that everything
she got
that happened
93 million, but where's my money?
Happened. You know, Stormy opened the door, but Stormy got sued for the exact same 2 comments, and she ended up getting legal fees she's got to pay for, but no one wants to help her with that. Or the women's groups, you know, she fights for women's groups all day long. And I don't see anyone doing GoFundMe's to try to help with her legal fees and to help her out.
So she just needs some
Michael
money.
Avenatti, he did a GoFundMe to try to help her, and then he ended up stealing all her money. It just, there's a list that goes on and on and on and on. And she donated to the hurricane relief in Louisiana. She does all these great things.
She's such a good person, and no one's helping out her in her plight. And so they might have to leave the country if this abuse continues. So they brought this dude on, and they talked to him for a full 10 minutes. Wow. And so, of course, we'll stop right there. Sort of feels like we all caught gonorrhea by looking at that room. If you walk right into that room, I'm pretty sure you instantly catch gonorrhea and probably hepatitis as well. So, all right. So they brought her in there, and that was his explanation. We'll see if they leave the country or not. But the lawyer also was on the media. And so this guy's name is Clark Brewster. And he is explaining how Stormy, before testimony, was paralyzed with fear. And she wore a bulletproof vest into court before she testified.
In the direct and the cross, Stormy's demeanor on the stand was different from, you know, an outsider's perspective. How did she go from kind of that first day of testimony, first day and a half, to when she knew she was going to get grilled by the defense? I mean, how did she take that? Did you tell her anything to kind of get her ready for that moment?
Sure. Yeah, we spent, as you remember, we Tuesday, then there was a dark day, Wednesday, we came back on Thursday, but I knew her time to shine would be on cross. Because she's very, very a quick thinker. She's very, seizes in on facts of the question and was very responsive. I think the direct was careful, and I think the cross was right up her alley, and she dealt with it well.
What? Is she afraid now?
The cross was up her what?
Yeah, she has a lot of fear, and she really does. I mean, she was concerned about the security coming into New York. She wore a bulletproof vest every day.
Under her clothes.
Yes, until she got to the courthouse. I can tell you that before she came on Sunday, I mean, she cried herself to sleep. I mean, she was paralyzed with fear, not of taking the stand or telling her story, but what some nut might do to her. And I'm genuinely concerned about it as well.
She had her daughter's necklace on in the courtroom. Was that some kind
strength.
of a good luck charm for a mom?
Yeah, it was a feeling that she had her daughter with her, and it was really cute that she did that. The daughter made that necklace.
The defense moved for mistrial during...
Okay, so you see what they do here on CNN now. It's like a game of patty cake with this guy. They're talking about the daughter's necklace and her little arts and crafts routine. And so they got Coop in the middle. They bring all these people out. How much does this cost them an hour? I mean, good Lord, look at all these people trying to make it somewhat interesting. Is that Toobin? They even put him back up there? Oh, gosh.
Your client's testimony, arguing, they tried to do it twice. What did you think of their argument?
Well, it really came into play with regard to the detail, some of the detail, and establishing her credibility and why she did certain things. And she said, I was fearful. And she was told by a lawyer, you need to hide in plain sight. The story's got to be memorialized one way or the other. And if something happens, they'll know who is motivated to do it. So that was the motivation. And I think the defense didn't like that. But keep in mind, in the court of public opinion, Trump has constantly said, she's a sleazebag, she's a liar, I only met her one time and so that lay down those facts he thought were important enough for the court of public opinion. Why wouldn't they be important enough for a jury in this case?
Yeah, I think that is Jeffrey Toobin, right? He's there. He's like, Cooper, can I please have the floor? I know everything there is to know about Stormy Daniels, okay? I've been studying her for decades now. So let me talk. Everybody's like, all right, you can talk, Jeffrey. All right, we're out of here. So that's what they're doing on CNN. Very strange, a little round table they've got. Now, these are their star witnesses. They love Michael Cohen. They love Stormy Daniels. big fans of their testimony. They think they're heroes saving America. And Michael Avenatti, who was originally kind of on the Stormy Daniels train, he was posting this from prison. He says, look, unlike many, I have been consistent for 6 years. Michael Cohen is a liar and a total fraud and a narcissist who cares only about himself. And let us not forget about Women for Cohen and the 700 plus ridiculous post he fabricated, says Avenatti, in an effort to paint himself as a brilliant attorney, a sex symbol, etc. I guess he claims that that was Trump's fault too. LOL. So incredible. I didn't even know this was a thing. And so don't all the ladies come over here at once. Here is what he says. Women for Michael Cohen. Women who love and support Michael Cohen. Strong, pitbull, sex symbol, no nonsense, business oriented, and ready to make a difference. Isn't he married? What does his wife think about this? Is she in favor of other women calling him a sex symbol? So listen to what this guy has done. This is Michael Cohen, who has been presumably posting all of these things as a female, I guess. He's talking about Gryphon mining. He says, actually, there are two here coinciding with this candle. So I guess Women for Cohen is a stock trader. A couple more here. Women for Cohen's, yeah, I guess trading, talking about SEC enforcement. And I better be careful, scrolling on this thing. I don't know where this is going to go. But he's got a bunch of posts on here. And it's Cohen, it's Women for Cohen. So that's a curious situation where he's out there, I guess, supporting himself as a woman. And it's very Michael Cohen. I guess if he's going to have a TikTok account and all these other accounts, why not, endorse himself? So the White House got asked about some of this stuff. They said, hey, Karine, can you explain to us what's going on here? Now, this is a long clip. We'll just listen to the highlight of it because she meanders off into oblivion again. But here is the question. Can you comment on this? And this is her tacit admission that this is political. She can't comment on the trial because it's political. And then she goes and she tries to clean it up. And it's also an independent judicial review or something. Listen.
To show up at the trial of the former president today.
So look, I can't speak to, don't want to comment, obviously, as this is related to 2024 elections, and I can't speak to the speaker's schedule. That is something for him to decide on. And let's not forget, this is also connected to.
They're not there for the election to support Trump. They're there to stop an injustice. They're there to protest a rigged trial brought by Matthew Colangelo vis-a-vis Joe Biden.
To a independent judicial process, so going to be really mindful. And he makes his choices on what he does.
Mike Johnson.
With his business. That is his choice to be made. What I can speak to is obviously what the president is speaking to today as it relates to 301 tariffs, making sure that he's protecting American workers, protecting American businesses, making sure that when we're allowed to compete in a fair way, we can thrive. And that's what you heard from this president.
Okay, so then she goes off to talk about the Chinese tariffs and the brewing World War III. Doesn't want to talk about what they're doing in these courts. But Congressman Byron Donalds was there, showed up outside the courtroom to support Donald Trump yesterday. And he went on with the media and they were asking him about this in follow-up. They said, hey, is this appropriate for you, Byron? Shouldn't you be back on Capitol Hill paying attention to, I guess, Ukraine or something?
Well, let me ask you, Congressman, do you think Trump should take the stand?
Quite frankly, that's something for his legal team. I'm not going to answer that because they're going to make that rationale with President Trump. It's not about him taking the stand. It's about looking at the evidence, or frankly, the evidence that does not exist that the prosecution has brought here in New York City. You got Matthew Colangelo, the number 3 guy, who was the number 3 guy at Maine Justice. He comes down to be on the prosecuting line for Alvin Bragg. That demonstrates the coordination between Maine Justice, the Democrat Party, the White House, and unfortunately the court system in New York just to get Donald Trump. That is un-American. We are better than that. This is not about people's personal feelings or political feelings. It's about the system of justice.
Well, let me ask you about the politics, because I think the jury will decide what happens in that courtroom as the recordings, the documents, and the testimony will all speak for itself. But you, along with J.D. Vance, Rick Scott, Tommy Tuberville, now House Speaker Mike Johnson, all of you have been to the trial now.
Looking good.
Why is sitting in a New York courtroom with Trump your priority versus hammering out business up on the Hill?
Like what?
My priority, which is what I was elected to do, which I swore an oath to, was to protect the United States and the United States Constitution. So when you have a situation where justice is being misused for political purposes, in my view, you do have members of Congress and other members who are involved in our politics who have a responsibility to stand in opposition to that. I mean, take Judge Marchand, for example. His daughter is a Democrat operative. His daughter is going to make millions of dollars this election cycle fundraising for Democrats, and she's using the images and the likenesses of this trial to help her fundraise. That's a joke. That's a travesty. So this is bigger than just a job on Capitol Hill. It's what's happening right now in New York City. And I will add, I'm not under a gag order, so I'm going to tell the truth.
I understand that, but Congressman, let's be real here. The former president is using this courtroom, is using this case to raise money as well. He brought in a big $1 billion donor the other day.
He's being prosecuted as a criminal defendant. Don't call it even Stevens. It's not like they showed up to a dance and they're both having to cover their costs for travel or something. Trump has to defend himself with tens of millions of dollars in all these lawfare cases. And the money, raising any money on the back of that has nothing to do with the judge. The judge is not supposed to be raising money at all. And the judge's daughter is not Donald Trump. Is she running for office? Is the judge running for office? This is crazy.
He's got commercials out there. He's putting things out on True Social. He is using this as a campaign fundraiser and rally cry every single day. He comes out to the cameras and he talks politics to reporters every single day when he comes out of the courtroom.
Because he is in court, in trial, locked down. These people are whacked. He wouldn't be coming out of the courtroom to talk if he wasn't in court. It's the only time he can talk, lady.
So that's a little unfair when you're saying this is all political, when the former president is taking advantage of this entire situation to turn it into a campaign event.
Let's not use fair or unfair.
The entire prosecution is brought out of a political attack orchestrated by Joe Biden. Trump is responding to the attack, and she's saying that is unfair.
Because last time I checked, Donald Trump is the one that was indicted on ridiculous trumped-up charges. And yes, the pun is intended. That's number one. Number two, Judge Marchand put him under an unconstitutional gag order. Not just President Trump, his entire campaign team. You have the media, you have witnesses in this case who are out there talking day and night against Donald Trump. He cannot respond. His campaign team cannot respond. So we're going to respond for him.
But an appeals court upheld that.
So if anybody's playing, if anybody is playing politics, it is the radical left, it is Alvin Bragg, it is Judge Marchand, and it is the political coordination of using our justice system to attack a political rival.
Just the worst type of propagandist, the worst type of propagandist from her. And blaming Trump, it's blaming the victim. Wait a minute, the victim is fighting back. And there she's shocked. How dare you fight back? You're fighting back? And you're trying to respond to being attacked? How dare you? You should just take it and not respond at all. So Byron Donalds out there representing. Shout out to Byron Donalds. We got Stormy freaked out. We got the media, I think, is a little bit freaked out. They know that this is backfiring on them. Trump is up in the polls. Michael Cohen's a liar. Stormy Daniels is a porn star and a degenerate. And now these are their two champions who are going to take out their fascist dictator, so-called. So we're going to be here continuing to cover this. Hopefully Stormy starts packing her bags. We'll see if she does. Thank you for subscribing, my friends, wherever it is you're watching this. Thanks for inviting someone you know to come over here and check out our channel. YouTube doesn't promote us because we're not an authoritative source, like MSNBC is. So we're grateful for your shares. Thank you so much for doing that. We also would love to see you join us as a membo wherever it is you're watching, on YouTube or on Locals. We have a great members only community. Our Rumble friends join us on Locals. We do streams in the morning. We do streams on Saturdays. We'd love to have you join us. watchingthewatchers.locals.com. My friends, will see you over there and back here on the next one. All right. Well, a little bit of a shorter show, my friends. Of course, we're going to be back tomorrow with the trial. And the show tomorrow is likely going to be an hour or two later than normal. So if you're here, adjust your mental clocks. I've got an event tomorrow that's going to be a great event. So it's a full day event. So I'm going to try to cut out early and then get here and do the show. So it'll probably be a little bit later than normal, but I'll try to get it scheduled as soon as I know. Kind of depends on how the event goes. So we've got 3 good segments. Michael Cohen busted lying again by his own former lawyer. We have Jack Smith extorted the defense by a lawyer who was on the team or working with the team who got extorted, and Stormy Daniels leaving the country. And so, my friends, now it is time to hear from you and see what you have to say about all this before we go over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. And we'd love to see you come and join us over there. Let's see who is starting the day off with these amazing donos. Very grateful for them. Thanks for sending them in. Whew, we got some good ones. What's up? Voice of the People. Hey, what's up, Voice of the People? So my friends, check this out. Little PSA. I'll be going live, not me, Voice, on both YouTube and Rumble for this channel and off-label podcast channel. So Voice of the People is a channel, and off-label podcast. They're going to listen to the entire Costello hearing over there. As soon as we're done, it's a wild hearing. Come and listen to the whole thing on his channel, Off-Label and Voice of the People. Yeah, it's crazy. We could have listened to the whole thing, but it's good. I'd encourage you to do it, so go check it out. Thanks for doing that, Voice. We got this one, Popeye's Souvenir Kidney Stone. Wow. There's only like 3 of those on the whole planet. You got one? Popeye's Souvenir Kidney Stone is now joining us. Wow. We feel honored. That's a collector's item. Hey, it's the Munkets. Tony, hey, Munkets. Bringing in new membos. Vanessa S. is coming in. PK's coming in. Welcome aboard, and thank you, Tony, for bringing in the new membos. We got Jennifer's here, bringing in 5 new membos. Thank you, Jennifer. Who's here? Wild Horses. Carol M. We got the Caribbean. Michael R. We have Mitchell N. coming in, courtesy of Jennifer, bringing in 5 new membos. We got Tony Hey Munkets bringing in Patty H. Welcome aboard, Patty H, courtesy of Tony. And Catania Mama Italia bringing in 5 more. Brad W, David S, Football Jones, Freedom Lover, love that, and KM. Whew, we got a bunch of new membos coming in. Thank you, Catania. Tony Hay bringing in Snoopy Sin coming here. And Pritchie, what's up, Pritchie? Great to see you. Pritchie says, what, the trustworthy and honorable Cohen lied? Whoop. I honestly did not see that coming. I expected 100% truthful testimony. Just in case this is sarcasm. Thank you, Pritchie. Hopefully you're doing well, man. Thanks for swinging by, saying hello. I know it's shocking that a convicted perjurer, liar, who has lied again and lied during his plea deal is lying again. What a shock. Nobody would have thought it. Hey, Swade's Lounge says, anyone think Cohen waived privilege so Costello could tell the truth? Since Cohen was forced into lying for the prosecution to avoid more legal troubles. Whoa, this is crazy. So you can have threads now. Whoa, look at this. Okay, so on YouTube, so Swade's Lounge dropped this question, and then people are responding literally to the comment itself. This is new. I like that too. Cool. The privilege belongs to the client, not the lawyer. So only the client can waive it. Let's read the question again. Anyone think Cohen waived the privilege so Costello could tell the truth? Since Cohen was forced into lying for the prosecution to avoid more legal troubles. Oh, I see what you're saying. No, I think he wanted... Yeah, because Cohen, I think, is only thinking for himself. I understand what you're saying. So that, in other words, Cohen was forced to do what he had to do, but he waived privilege so the truth would come out, but he's getting his deal while allowing the truth to come out regardless. Like Cohen is kind of this clever craftsman. I don't think so. I think Cohen was trying to save his own skin and was trying to pin it on someone else. What a cool feature. How fun. Okay. What's up, Pritchie? Bringing in membos. Thank you, Pritchie. We got Jennifer Gray coming in, Dan U, Margaret M, Joe T, and Trudy, all in the house, courtesy of Pritchie. Thank you, Pritchie. Welcome aboard, new friends. Michael A. gifting Gina. Welcome, Gina, and thank you, Michael, for bringing in a new membo. Tony Hay Munkets is gifting another membo. Tree Climber gifted a membo. If Josh Can't Fix It is coming in, courtesy of Tree Climber. ZZ Renee says, my rant, LOL. My rant, LOL. That's a good one. Thank you, ZZ Renee. I agree completely. Hey, what's up? Sandy says, Stormy and the hubby plan to leave so that they can avoid the civil judgment. I read Oceanics years ago. Yes, I read the entire Oceanics. Don't judge me. Should I tell Stormy's hubby that he cannot avoid a civil judgment by fleeing to another country? That's a good thesis. She doesn't want to pay the $600,000. So she'll flee. Yikes. That's not a good call. Hey, what's up? Bonnie says, Rob, regarding CNN, they keep adding more on, or was that morons? Hey, both. I didn't even catch that, Bonnie. They keep adding more on CNNs, but they keep adding morons to CNN. They do. They more of morons. Very funny. Good to see you, Bonnie. Thank you for that comment. Hey, it's the Munkets bringing in Mimi in pink, courtesy of Tony Hay. Welcome, Mimi, and thank you, Tony. John Libby says, at 6:27, 9 p.m. debate, if the gag order is still in place, does Trump have the right to reply when Joe attacks him without repercussion? I would say no. No, the gag order doesn't have a debate exception. But hopefully the gag order is done. Now, we kind of gamed this out this morning on Locals, and we were thinking, okay, well, 6:27, which is when the first debate is scheduled. And I didn't even realize this, but we're going to be live streaming the debate because our lodge meetup is on 6:29. I will be in Vegas on 6:27. At Trump Hotel. And so we're going to live stream the debate from Trump Hotel. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. All right. It's going to have so much mega energy flowing through me. The microphone might explode right off the table. We'll see. But the point is, trial should be over. Hopefully it's a hung jury and they're floating around. But if there's anything pending, I think that Merchan is going to impose the gag order. So if it's on appeal and it's pending appeal and all the things, he might try to keep that in place. What's up, John? Great question. But no, I would say no. Otherwise, no. If the gag order is in place, there's no debate exception for that. What's going on? Tony Hay bringing in new membos. Awesome Liquors coming in. And Tree Climber brought in Liquid Rock Aquatics. Sandy asks, anyone else feel like they need 2 showers with 3 bars of soap while following this Cohen Stormy testimony? I like my simple life. Ew. Yeah, you don't need hepatitis. You don't need hepatitis from Stormy or Cohen. You don't need it. Voice of the People bringing in 10 new membos. What's up, Voice? Thanks for doing that. And of course, Voice is going to be broadcasting as soon as we're done here. Toll Booth Willie's here. SDD. Krista's coming in. We got Crypto Crackheads here. We got Timothy F., Thomas R., Brandon L., Keto in the Kitchen with Pat. Sounds like a great channel. Knowledge is here. Terry B., Tony Roscoe, and Golden Gaming. All courtesy of Voice of the People, bringing in new membos. Spuds is here. Yeah, that comment. Strange choice of words, Robs. Yeah, I won't even repeat it. I know. Tree Climber. What's up, Tree Climber? Bringing in Matthew. Welcome aboard, Matthew. J.E. Bennett coming in courtesy of Gloria B. Hey, G. Nels. What's up? Says, sometimes I wish Jim Jordan would just supplay passive-aggressive lion heifer Plaskett. Yeah, supplay. That's kind of the old wrestling maneuver. Remember, Jim Jordan was like an Iowa wrestler, state champion or something. That's a real deal. If you're a state champion wrestler, you know how to wrestle. It's a real deal. So a supplay, kind of just right here. And people will say it different, like a suplex or a souffle or supplay. I like to say supplay because it makes me sound fancy. But I think a suplex is how other people say it. But it's generally that big one where it's over the head. And you're smashing them over the head. I think people pronounce it differently. Suplex or suplex. I've heard it pronounced a bunch of different ways. But that's the one, if I have it right, that's the one. So Jim Jordan would just walk in there. It's Congress. So I'm not endorsing any violence or anything, but there was that one, remember that one congressman said, you want to go? He started taking his ring off. And suddenly I'm a lot more interested in running for Congress if that's how it goes. If you can actually just get out there and start wrestling down on the ground. Supplay? Yeah, I don't know how to say it exactly, but yeah, I've heard it all different ways. And yeah, it's a good move. What's up? Hey, Michelle P. Look at this one. Michelle, extremely generous. Very nice of you. Thanks for doing this today. It's a beautiful Wednesday. Look who's coming in, courtesy of Michelle Parsons, bringing in 20 membos. And Doug, we got Perfect Pete is here. Polly Shortcuts. What's up? Lexi's coming in. Brian C. Digga's here. Miranda. We got Amanda. Artsy Chick. Jennifer. Tam saying, wow, Michelle. My Alaskan girl's coming in. OG Cat's Eye. Warchild. What, if any, welding? Mike Lee. Maybe the senator. I don't know. Robin Baskin. Eddie Clay. Chandler D. Designed Audio, Prince Vibes, and Brittany Z, all coming in courtesy of Michelle P. Thank you, Michelle Parsons, in the house. 20 new membos gifted. We got, hey, Sheila P. Man, we got so many new membos. It's going to be great. Can't wait to see you guys in the morning. We got Awesome Pursuit coming in courtesy of Sheila P. Les Paul, Salty's Doghouse, Jonathan B., Mr. Tony, Teresa W., Wade S., Zach J., Kenton is here. George S. gifted membos courtesy of Sheila P. bringing in a bunch of new membos. Leanne says, have we heard any feedback if it looks like the jury is buying any of this drivel? I think it would all just be speculation. I mean, I've heard people on CNN and other places. Yesterday, they said the testimony of Michael Cohen was the jurors were very animated, very engaged, very attentive. A lot of the adjectives I heard. What's up? Sandy says, what is Costello's motive for sticking his neck out? He doesn't seem overly patriotic. He doesn't seem to have Trump ties. He doesn't seem to be overly like, I must protect the legal system for this disaster. He's testifying because he can due to Cohen waiving attorney-client privilege. I believe him, but I can't figure out why he stuck his neck out. Yeah, it's a good question, Sandy. Maybe because he's just a good dude trying to do the right thing? Is that possible anymore? Ugh, wild. If that's true. Knox is here. Something wrong with him? Knox is here. Happy Wednesday, all. What's up, Knox? Happy Wednesday to you. It says, and now they start on this 51-year law veteran who sounded more credible than anyone on this matter. MSN, Michael Cohen's ex-legal advisor is accused of jury tampering, so now they have to destroy him. Yeah, here's the story. Now it's time to destroy Robert Costello, because he's telling the truth. Amazing. Thank you, Knox. Happy Friday. Happy Wednesday to you. We got Pamela B. What's up, Pamela B? Thank you for saying this. Great work. Thank you, Pamela. Nice dono over on the locals. Thanks for joining us and sending that one in. We got Cyrus J. Says, if the defense tries to bring Costello as a witness, will prosecution try to quash him? Yeah, so I don't know the details on it. This case has been very obtuse, obviously, so I don't know if Costello was disclosed as a witness. I mean, he testified at the grand jury, obviously, so he was a witness at some stage of this proceeding. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if he's already been precluded, if he's already been disclosed. We'll have to see. Yes, we're going to be very curious to see if they bring him out. But to me, he sounded extremely credible. He sounded like somebody reliable. I think that he'd be very persuasive, probably a lot more than Michael Cohen would. And then how would they limit his testimony? Would they say, well, you can't talk about that attorney-client privilege stuff? Good to see you, Cyrus. Great question. More will be revealed. We'll see tomorrow, honestly. Crash says, suborning perjury, Bragg knew and he did it anyways. What steps can the defense take to introduce this evidence from Costello during the state's case in chief? Anything? Well, yeah, I mean, I think that they could just bring out him as a rebuttal witness to Cohen. Just say everything Cohen said was a lie. Basically, everything he testified to. Just, I have the waiver. And again, I don't know if this has already been litigated in New York or not. We can't see most of the case. I'm reading, we're only reading from Todd Blanche's filings and whatever the court decides to publish. So I don't know how much has been litigated on Costello already, if anything. But Costello definitely did testify at the grand jury and talk to Bragg's people. So I would agree that they knew that, or they would say it's not perjury. We just disagree with Costello. We don't think he was the right person. But I would just, bring him in as a witness to counter Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen is saying it's directly related to the case. Cohen said Trump ordered him to do the thing. No, Cohen told his lawyer. Cohen did it on his own. So we'll see. We'll see if that's coming up soon, but it seems like a good fit. Salty Sarge says Michael Cohen always fancied himself as Michael Corleone, but in fact, he was Fredo all along. Womp womp. Sorry, Chris Cuomo. A little scheming rat that got trapped and begged for mercy. Sad. From Salty Sarge over on the Rumbles. Shout out to our Rumble friends. We got Tyler Stokes says, Blinken's band is called the Blinken 52s, named after the B-52 bombers because they bombed so hard on stage. Is that true? I don't even know if that's accurate or not. Sounds accurate. They also like to bomb things and spend our money on endless, useless wars. So that makes sense. We didn't know what the band name was. We were talking about it this morning. We were thinking maybe it was like Blinken and the Grifties or something like that. NY says, Rob, I hope you bring up how one of the female Democrats, in so many words, threatened Mr. Trusty, who testified today, mentioning that every Trump lawyer has been disbarred. Well, thank you for bringing it up, NY. I'm glad we got that one covered. We got Sandy says, states are different on how they handle grand juries. 6 states have citizen grand jury power. Nobody knows this, Rob. Tell them. Learn your rights, people. Learn how to fight these people. We, the people, hold the power. Yeah, they're different. Grand juries are different in each state, so it's hard to talk about it in broad strokes. So good link over there to Ballotpedia. Thank you, Sandy. We got Spider-Man says, just wait till they say Costello is jury tampering. And are they saying that right now? Oh, so that's a new claim. Accused of jury tampering. Like as in today. They're saying, oh, today was jury tampering. Got it. I thought this was a reference to some old claim, like they're digging up an old claim. So they're saying that was a crime today, what he did. It's outstanding. Yeah, don't you dare speak out or we'll charge you too. What's up, Spidey Man? Thanks for that. Sheila P says, drain the swamp from 2024 from the White House down. It would be very nice. Hopefully we can do it this time. We'll be doing our part. And I know you will too, Sheila. Thanks for the support. Cowboy Rob says, are they setting Trump up for another indictment because Joe Biden might keel over on stage and then they can charge him with a crime? Yeah, Trump was too mean to him on the debate stage. And so he assassinated the president. I want everybody to live long and prosper, including our demented president. Knox is here. Says, if Jane Fonda, Gassy Whoopi Goldberg, Stormy Daniels et al. Are leaving the country if Trump returns to the White House, America really will be great again. From Knox. Good comment from Knox. Yeah. Well, it's a heck of a good start. I'm down. You can throw in, Rosie O'Donnell in there, a couple others, and we're on a good start. What's up, Knox says, the Daniels it's a creepster porn star set. Totally. Yeah, totally. We all have to get tested after that segment. 1R5 says, hopeless right now, but I'm thinking the congressional record will be very useful for the Trump administration next January. Yeah, in other words, 1R5 over on Rumble is saying Congress probably not going to be doing a whole lot in the aftermath of this stuff, but maybe when that balance of power changes and it goes back over to the Republicans, or in this case, Trump, they will have a lot of material to key off on. I think you're right about that, and I hope they use it this time. Iconic Mercat, what's up, says, thanks, Rob, for making this all make sense. Even though the corruption can be cut with a knife, your breakdowns, oddly, make it all sensical. Well, that's a great compliment, Iconic, and I appreciate that feedback because I think awareness is a big, important step towards the solution. You really can't find a solution to anything if you're not aware of the problem. So we're trying to do our part to help this make sense. And so it's a great compliment. Thank you, Iconic. Thanks for your support. Thanks for being here and for the feedback. Deborah M. says, waiting for the jury when they Del 1 gets sick. Good luck to you. Membo for 8 months, Deb. What's up, Deborah? Almost a full baby incubating over there. Says, what the jury, when they deliberate, one gets sick and good luck to you. So somebody gets sick in the jury panel and we have a mistrial. Oh, no. King Ginger says, Stormy was worried about what a nut could do to her. She's a big fan of nuts. Like cashews. LMAO. I'd rather be skiing LOL on that one. We got King Ginger. Says, hey, we had that one. Sergeant GPS says, could the Trump attorneys call Rep. Goldman to question him about the prep he did with Cohen and his relationship with the firm run by Mercan's daughter? I think they could try. I'm not sure it would be relevant to this case. Like, does it add any value to the question about whether the business records were falsified? Yes or no? I don't know. Maybe you could say it goes to Cohen's credibility. and that he's being pressured by Goldman. And so maybe that could come out in some way, but feels a little bit too far removed from the underlying question at issue here. Now, if this was bad for Trump, they'd let it in all day. But the judge, I don't think, would let it in here. But it's a good thesis. John L., what's up, John? Says, when it comes to Stormy, some things do not clean off with Sandy bowl cleaner and a toilet bowl brush. No, you need medication for that. You can't just use a magic wand in your toilet. You got to see a doctor. What's up? This old guy shared this image. Apparently, this is a curious one. WomenForCohen. WomenForCohen. It's a demonic looking witch there. We got Salty Sarge, says Rob. I'm starting to worry about you. Our knight in shining armor is getting tarnished by covering this salacious filth. I know. We may need to break out the Brasso and Brillo pads after this trial's over. I know. I'm going to need to go to like a monastery for a little while and purge the negative Cohen Stormy Daniels energy from our soul. We have, what's up, Pinochet Helicopter Tours, says there's no such thing as a bulletproof vest, okay? Vests using ballistic panels are related for 9mm. You'll still have a bad day. Plates are where the magic happens, but can't show cleavage with a plate carrier. That's a great comment, Pinochet. And I've looked into the plate carrier solution, and yeah, I don't think Stormy was wearing anything meaningful. In fact, some people were saying it might have been a stab vest, maybe not a bulletproof vest, but I'm sure her and her lawyer are not ballistics experts. What's up, Rob on Rumble says, the only reason Trump is using this for a campaign fundraising event is because they're holding him there. He's ordered to be there, whacked lady. He would be out campaigning if the sham trial was not on Let's Go Brandon. Trump 2024 from Rob on Rumble. Good to see you, Rob. Good call. ELZ says, Rob, thank you, Rob, for bringing us this bombshell Wednesday. What a day. It was a heck of a day. And man, shout out to Robert Costello, which I think is the person you're thanking. I had nothing to do with it. It's Robert Costello that we're all happy about. What's up? Be Controversial says, this prosecution is beyond satire. Even SNL wouldn't make a sketch this bad. It is. It's like a joke. A porn star and Michael Cohen, who is this character, I guess, what would you call him, you know, are going to be your star witnesses, and it's going to be about a fake sex claims. What are we talking about? Jane, what's up? Janielle Vargas, what's up? Says, hey, Rob, you got a big fan down in Miami, Florida. What's up, Janielle? Janielle in the house. Thank you for saying that. Miami's beautiful. I haven't been to Florida in a while, but I've been talking about it. Been saying there's a lot of people out there I'd like to go say hello to. So good to see you, Janielle. We've got Let's Go Brandon. Been a membo for 12 months. As a 3-month-old, we've covered some good ground there. 3 months or 12 months, man. We have a 3-month-old. That makes sense. We have a 9 baby, and then we have a 3-month-old. Yes, and a 1-year anniversary. I'm terrible at math. Thanks for that. Thanks for the explanation. We did. We've covered some good ground. Let's Go Brandon in the house. Very nice to see you. Thanks for being a membo for a full year. We got a baby and then some. We got Cowboy Rob says, if Trump skipped court due to the debate and was found in contempt, wouldn't that be election interference blatantly? Yeah, I mean, yes, but the judge doesn't care. He doesn't see it. He doesn't see any. I think it's election interference right now. I think that the pretrial process was election interference. So this is already election interference, and the judge doesn't care. He says the election is a whole separate process, and he's creating this division in his mind, so he has plausible justification for doing what he's doing. Great comment, Cowboy Rob. What's up? Jennifer says, please tell Bonnie Speck that her comment about CNN morons was spot on. Yeah, I agree. I wish I thought of it. Agreed, says Don. Good comments. Yeah, it was a great comment. Hey, Milo Phone Bill says, wow, he's speaking in 3 or 4 word sentences now. Woot. And he says, here you have Wednesdays off. Make my day, pal. We talked about this all this morning. I think they a little overplayed their hands. I know some people are like, we should be worried about Joe Biden and his debate capabilities. I'm not, personally. I just think they're scrambling. It feels like a scramble to me. But it's disgusting that he is using his own political prosecution to go after his enemy, and then he's mocking him, making fun of him for being involved in the process. He's a sick person. Rub some dirt on it on Locals. Says if Merchan continues the gag order beyond the case, that will give Good Logic more time to win his gag order lawsuit without suffering from mootness. I think you're right, yeah. Yeah, it reminds me of what Chutkin's doing, right? Chutkin still has the gag in place, even though it's going up and down on appeal. So I wonder if Merchan would do the same thing, so the gag order would be in place while everything continues to pend. But yeah, Good Logic, still doing great work over there. I do follow him on X. Make sure you are as well, so you get the updates on Good Logic right next door on YouTube and on Rumble. We got Chaz G says Tucker Carlson for moderator for Trump and the Biden debate. Yeah, they would never go for that. I mean, that would be great, but they would never go for that. I'm hearing it's Donna. No, it's Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, I think. Yeah, are going to be the mods. What's up? Voice of the People says, going to be live a bit later. I'm still at work, about to leave my coworker here. Well, leave him. You got business. Hey, leave him. Tell him. Wrap it up. Let's go. We got a stream to do. Tell him to pack it up. What's up? Muffin Rando says, oh, there's that one. Oh, okay. Muffin Rando's trying to find his channel. This old guy says, hasn't Bragg already opened the door on Costello testifying? Yeah, I would say so. I mean, they brought him up. I think that Costello could come and rebut his answers. But I don't know if it's already, yeah, I think, why not? Why is there any reason why we can't have him? I don't think so. What's up? Philip C says, Blinken missed his calling. He could have been a no-name backup guitarist for an 80s cover band instead of the worst diplomat in 100 years. Yeah, that's a good call. He would have had a much more successful life. Now he's gotten us in multiple wars that we all have to suffer from. He should have just play your guitar, dude. Just resign. Just play your guitar. Go have fun. Go do your music. Have fun. What's up? Words Mean Thing says, hey, Rob, I think you missed my comment on the morning stream. Oh, no. Okay, we'll see if we can find it. It's a longish one. Okay, I thought we checked on this morning, but I'm sorry I missed it. We'll take a look again. Thank you, Words, for flagging it for us. Londo says, this is my last coin for a while, Rob. Keep the change. Thanks, Londo. Glad we had you while we had you. Thanks for all the love. We got Bruce Wayne says, decided to roll on Rumble today. It's a good space, man. Rumble's really coming around. They got some good stuff cooking over there. And this one was from Lisa G. What's up? Lisa de Guzman in the house joining us as a membo. We've got, okay. So we got Lisa D. Good to see you, Lisa. Grateful to see you as a new membo, new supporter over on the tubes. Thank you for joining us. Let's say hello to our friends on X before we wrap it up. And my friends, thank you for all those amazing donos. Very grateful for your support on the day. Who's joining us on X? We're, of course, over at Suplex. Okay, here is what Palmy No says. Yeah, so here you go. Suplex is pronounced suplex by almost all wrestling professionals and fans. A few pronounce it as supplé, which likely stems from the word's French origins. Yeah, I've heard it both ways. MAGA elites prefer the French pronunciation, supplé. It sounds fancy, you know. Suplex, supplé. Yeah, it's a good move, man. It'll mess you up pretty bad. You can see that dude. It's like if you can hit it, it really will mess you up. Hey, what's up? Hey, Paul Mino, our meme smith, says your MAGA energy is overflowing. That's MAGA energy. That's level 1. This is ultra MAGA energy. That's level 2. Yeah, let's get it. Yeah. Thank you, Paul Mino, for the memes. We've got, here's another one from Right to Think is showing Trump's in the gym. Trump's working out right now. Let's see what this one looks like. Here's this one. So Trump's working out, and let me kill the volume on this. Here's Trump just warming up with a little Obama and a little Joe. That dude can lift right there. All right, there's Trump. And good to see you, Right to Think. Let's see what else we've got. We got some good memes in the house over there. Hey, Fred says, reasonable prosecutor, a reasonable doubt, a reasonable person. So what does reasonable actually mean anymore? It's a great question. Long debated in the law. What's up, Shane says, just stopping by saying hi. Appreciate there's a source of truthful and honest reporting what's going on. Hard to distill what's actually going on from 30 different news articles. Thanks for all you do. Thanks for saying that, Shane. Thanks for stopping by. Great to have you. Right to Think Trump will wins over there. Crypto Nerd saying, what's up from Texas? Salty Sarge, I see you. Egregious Darkly says, LOL, Women for Cohen. What is that? His mom writing down those posts? He was a lawyer, you know, tell the Trump thing, says Cohen's mom. Yeah, she owes Trump like 500 grand. Angie's in the house. Good to see you, Salty. Says Trusty will be okay. It's not like he's a Boeing whistleblower, which could be a problem. Crypto Nerd in the house. Good to see you, my friends, over on the X platform. And so thank you so much for following other watchers on X and staying out there in the wild. Oh, Londo, you're staying. You're not leaving. Okay, you're staying. Oh, okay. You're just, okay, I got it. I misread that. My apologies. I'm glad you're staying around. I'm glad you are. All right. All right. So that's it for us on the day. We are going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Thank you for coming over and joining us. Before we wrap it up, we also want to remind you, we got our website, robertgovea.com, for PDFs, show reports, calendar, merch store. I'll update the calendar tomorrow based on the schedule, so check that out. Watcherlodge.com. If you want to join us in our in-person Watcher meetup, it's taking place Trump Hotel, Las Vegas, June 29th. All the info is at watcherlodge.com. So head on over there if you want to learn more about that. Before we wrap it up here, my friends, we got to thank our mods and our meme smiths who keep this train on the track. Our friends K Bean in the house, Just Cause, we got Playin' Hooky, Ronnie Cole, Zach Nichols, Janek, Dog Digger, Economy Pilot, Donut Mind Me, Carrie B, and our meme smith Sleepy Dog Lee, Nathan N810, Geegum Geegum, Glocky McGlock, and Elliot, our doc master, who help keep this thing nice and orderly as it unfolds. But that, my friends, is it for us on the day. And we got one more comment that came in. Deborah M's in the house says, I meant to say one sick comes back guilty, to say one person comes back guilty like the last trial. Meant to say one sick comes back guilty like the last trial, from Deborah M. Good to see you, Deborah. And my friends, thanks for all the amazing support. Thank you for joining us on this day. We are going to come back tomorrow. It will be a little bit later, I'm anticipating. I got a full day event, and then I'm going to race back here, and we'll knock this out. We're going to have Michael Cohen back on the stand, and it's going to be good. So it should be cross-examination. We'll see if we're done with him. We only have Thursday. We're not back in trial on Friday. So it should be fun. And so, my friends, we will leave it there on the night, but we are coming back here tomorrow to get into this again. And in order to do that, well, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. See you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.